Rewind 2,500 years, and you'd find the largest empire the world had ever seen, stretching from Greece to India, from the Black Sea to the Sahara, ruled from here. What happened in between? Conquest by a Macedonian teenager, invasion by desert horsemen carrying a new religion, catastrophe by the Mongols, revolution by a nation fed up with kings. And through all of it, the language survived, the poetry survived, the identity survived. Because Persia doesn't disappear, it absorbs, it transforms, and it comes back. You're about to witness nearly 3,000 years of one of humanity's most extraordinary civilizations. Sit back as we journey through the incredible history of Iran. Let's go back to where it all began.
The year is 550 BC. A Persian king named Cyrus has just done something no one had managed before. He has united the Iranian tribes, swallowed the Median Empire, crushed the Lydians, and taken Babylon, all in about a decade. His empire now stretches from modern Turkey to Afghanistan. It is the largest political entity in human history, and Cyrus runs it differently than anyone expected. When he rides into Babylon, he does not burn it. He frees the enslaved peoples. He sends the Jews home from their captivity and lets them rebuild their temple. He issues what some historians call the world's first declaration of human rights, etched on a clay cylinder. Whether that is exactly what it was is debated. That it was remarkable is not. His successors, Darius I and Xerxes I, push the empire further. Darius builds Persepolis, a ceremonial capital so grand that when Alexander the Great finally burns it 150 years later, it reportedly takes 20,000 mules and 5,000 camels just to carry away the treasure. Then, in 480 BC, Xerxes makes his move on Greece. He builds a bridge of boats across the Hellespont. He throws a massive army at Thermopylae, Salamis, and Plataea. The Persians lose. It is a humiliation that Greek historians write about for centuries. What those Greek historians do not mention is that the Persian Empire simply continues. For another 150 years, it governs a third of the world's population. It runs royal postal roads, coins money, and allows different peoples to keep their languages and customs. The Greeks write the history. The Persians built the civilization. Then comes Alexander. In 334 BC, a 22-year-old Macedonian king crosses into Persian territory. Within 7 years, it is over. Darius III is dead, betrayed by his own men. Persepolis is ash. The Achaemenid Empire, the greatest the world had known, is gone.
But here's what's interesting. Alexander doesn't destroy Persia. He becomes Persian.
He adopts Persian court dress, Persian customs, marries a Persian princess. His generals, fighting over the empire after his death, rule as Persian kings in all but name. The Seleucids spread Greek culture, yes, but Persian bureaucrats run the government. The Persian language never disappears from official use. The civilization is too deep, too functional, too there to be simply replaced. And then comes a dynasty that reclaims it entirely. The Parthians, Iranians from the northeast, take back the plateau piece by piece through the 2nd century BC. For nearly 5 centuries they rule, facing down Rome on their western frontier. At Carrhae in 53 BC, they annihilate a Roman army led by Crassus, one of Rome's richest men, one of its most powerful. The Parthian horseman's trick, firing arrows while retreating at full gallop, becomes so famous the Romans coin a phrase for it that survives today, a Parthian shot. Then in 224 AD, a Persian nobleman named Ardashir defeats the last Parthian king and founds a new dynasty, the Sasanians. And now things get serious. The Sasanian Empire is Rome's great rival for 4 centuries, not a distant threat, an equal. Both empires exhaust themselves in endless wars. But between the wars, the Sasanians build. They create the first hospitals. They translate Greek, Indian, and Chinese texts into Persian. They develop chess. Their art, the intricate woven carpets, the carved rock reliefs, the silver plates, is staggering. Their administrative system is so efficient that the Arab conquerors who eventually take over will simply adopt it wholesale. And in 224 AD, just as the Sasanians come to power, a new religion is gaining followers in the deserts to the west. It will change everything.
The year is 636 AD. Arab armies under the banner of Islam have already humbled Byzantium. Now they turn east. At the Battle of Al-Qadisiyah, the Sasanian army, elephants and all, is defeated. The empire that had stood for 4 centuries collapses within a decade. The last Sasanian emperor flees east and is murdered by one of his own subjects in 651. Persia is conquered. Or is it? The Arabs bring a new faith and a new language for religious texts, but within 2 generations, the Persian language is back. Persian bureaucrats run the new Islamic caliphate from Baghdad. Persian poets are writing verse that will define Islamic civilization. Persian architects are building its mosques. When the Abbasid caliphate reaches its golden age, the Baghdad of the Arabian Nights, of mathematics and astronomy and philosophy, the people doing most of the actual work are Persian. One historian put it sharply: the Arabs conquered Persia, and then Persia conquered the Arabs. By the 9th and 10th centuries, the caliphate is weakening. Iranian dynasties start asserting independence one by one. The Samanids in the northeast revive Persian as a literary language. A poet named Ferdowsi spends 33 years writing the Shahnameh, the Book of Kings, 60,000 verses, the entire mythology of Iran from creation to the Arab conquest. It becomes one of the greatest works of literature in any language. It is also, quietly, an act of resistance. Every verse, written in Persian rather than Arabic, says, "We are still here. We remember who we are." Then the Seljuk Turks sweep in from Central Asia. They're Muslim, they're powerful, and they're utterly enchanted by Persian culture. Their court becomes more Persian than the Persians. The mathematician and poet Omar Khayyam writes his Rubaiyat under Seljuk patronage. The physician Avicenna Ibn Sina produces medical texts still in use in European universities 500 years later. This is the Persian Renaissance. Foreign rulers, Persian civilization. Then, in 1219, the sky falls.
Genghis Khan's Mongols arrive, and what they do to Iran has no polite description. Nishapur, a city of perhaps 200,000, is massacred so completely that the Mongols reportedly stack the skulls in pyramids. Merv, one of the great cities of the medieval world, simply ceases to exist. Irrigation systems built over centuries are destroyed. Agricultural land reverts to desert. Historians estimate Iran loses between half and 2/3 of its entire population. Entire regions are left empty for generations. And yet, the Ilkhans, the Mongol rulers of Iran, convert to Islam within decades. They rebuild. They become patrons of Persian art and architecture. The great manuscript paintings of the 13th and 14th centuries, the Persian miniature tradition, flourish under Mongol rule. History's greatest destroyers become history's generous patrons. Iran absorbs them too. Timur, Tamerlane, comes again in the 1380s, another wave of catastrophe. But the Timurid dynasty that follows produces some of the most exquisite architecture in the Islamic world. There is something almost defiant about it, as if the response to being burned to ash is to build something so beautiful it cannot be ignored.
The year is 1501. A teenage boy named Ismail rides into Tabriz at the head of an army and declares himself Shah of Iran. He's a Safavid,
a Sufi religious order turned military dynasty, and he announces something that will define the country to this day. Iran is now officially Shia Muslim. In a world where the Ottoman Sunni Empire dominates, this is not just a religious declaration, it's a geopolitical earthquake. The Safavid era is Iran's second great cultural flower. Isfahan, rebuilt as the Safavid capital, becomes one of the most beautiful cities on earth. The Imam Mosque, the Sheikh Lotfullah Mosque, the Great Bazaar, the formal gardens, all built around a central square so vast that polo was played in it. European travelers who arrive in the 1600s go home and write books about it. They cannot believe what they've seen. Shah Abbas I, reigning from 1588 to 1629, is the dynasty's peak. He modernizes the army, smashes the Ottomans, and opens diplomatic relations with European powers. He imports Armenian craftsmen, Chinese porcelain techniques, Indian textile dyers. Isfahan becomes the world's most cosmopolitan city outside of Istanbul. Then the Safavids decline, as dynasties do. In 1722, Afghan tribesmen capture Isfahan. The dynasty staggers on briefly, and then comes a man who might be the most extraordinary military genius Iran has ever produced. Nadir Shah. He retakes the country, crushes the Afghans and Ottomans, invades Mughal India, and returns with the peacock throne and the Koh-i-Noor diamond. He is Iran's Napoleon. He is also erratic, brutal, and eventually assassinated by his own officers in 1747. The empire he builds dies with him.